Yeah, Love It Gal, Peach Sky, we got a third match, and maybe a third L for Vegas. At least they're hoping it's not going to be the case, because that would mean them being out of group stage, as Zoe said. And the desk unanimously are around London. I'm sure you are as well, right? Like that, you got to back your home crowd.
Oh yeah, I'm not just backing them for patriotic reasons, also for brain reasons. It's do or die for Vegas Eternal, and the Preds on the desk did say die, die, die. And Nepal is not a fantastic place to meet London. On two of these points in particular, the Shrine and the Village, the Reinhardt composition is absolutely beautiful. And of course, you're going to be likely to play the Mei here as well, which Backbone is probably the closest thing we have to a Mei expert in the league. Looks like we're going to be spawning in on Shrine. That's weird. That's hard to say without shutting all of your S sounds.
Or Village, yeah.
Yes, Village, yes. I completely
brain reasons, right? Am I right?
You know what was on my brain? I was thinking that rich man's brawl, like we have poor man's brawl with Ram. I feel like the Reinhardt is more of like noble brawl. It's aristocratic. It's done properly with manners. Someone who has 3 forks and 3 knives beside their dinner plate.
I want to also draw our minds back to the fact that Vegas played this exact map earlier. And it was on Village to start us off, so it's some weird deja vu. You got to think about, like, Vegas just took an L and it hurt. But how do you bounce back? Now you have time to soak in all of those mistakes, right? But it's a different look. Last time we saw Village, it was a Vulcan's Doomfist, Malthus Farah, and Dove's Tracer. So we'll see how that will work. Spitfire, obviously, watch the bots. They got the tape. They got Sparker on the Cassidy. Backbone, Somber makes an appearance. That's a rare one.
It is a rarer one, but it's a well-informed one. Like you said, they have the tape. And so they decided what they're going to do here is make sure that Vulcan is absolutely unsupportable. What a rotation. I'm afraid it's curtains for you, mate. And goodbye, Anna.
Goodbye. Well, that point's unlocked. Anybody want it? It's unattended. Anybody? London are there for now. Is anyone gonna challenge the Chatty? Vulcan is very low. He's trying to find a health pack or maybe the bottom of the map, I guess. So that leaves Malthus and Rack Attack in a bad position. And Rack Attack got hacked, but does manage to float back on the other side.
Oh, hello. Some coalescence of fire towards Backbone. Remember that control of these health packs might be super important for Vegas. If Backbone starts to take them away, it really means that Vulcan has to play in the LOS of Luke Mino, and we saw earlier just how dangerous it is to be Luke Mino when faced with the speed boost of Admiral. And Malthus' poke thus far has been a little bit lackluster, only 60% of the way towards a barrage.
Okay, well that first fight didn't count for Vegas. And now this is the real time. Malthus is trying to just challenge London while trying not to be too greedy against Sparker, but Malthus should be winning that considering Sparker doesn't have really a pocket, but does have to deal with Landon's hit scan too. Vulcan's resurrected back. Everything is fine. Rack Attack is not fine. Could not fly up high enough. Backbone sneaks up on him. Now London have all of the backup in the world. No way you're gonna hack him off the map. Backbone is fine too. He almost dropped off himself.
I think Backbone's ready to have a little giggle here. A touch of trolling, a bit of tomfoolery perhaps from the old bourbon enjoying lad. Backbone though, close to the EMP here. It's likely going to be used to drag Malthus and Rack Attack out of the sky as Vulcan once again is dead. And back to the drawing board again. One of the things I want to talk about here with the Sombra actually is the great information game the Sombra can play means that you can often scout out Mino's location, and that means you can set up for rotation super well to get Hardy on top of that Ana if they are in an even slightly precarious position.
It's going to be a big ultimate fight, though. If Vegas just walk out of main, there's an EMP. Backbone's just getting into position now! And Vegas use their own ultimates. Valkyrie in the sky from Rack Attack before the EMP keeps some of whatever is left of Vegas still standing. But this was not as strong of a showing on Village as they did previously against the Valiant. But London is a much, much tougher team, to say the least. 100-0 is quite the statement to make.
It's also 11-0. London Spitfire haven't died yet. To reduce someone's hit points to 0. What a novel concept.
Yeah, break that down. How do we do that?
All right, let's do the Overwatch 101. Every hero has a health pool, also known as hit points. And while you have a hit point, you are alive and can continue playing the game. When the hit points reach 0, Lemon, your character is eliminated. You have to wait 10 seconds for a respawn.
I can get out of my gold
8
games
seconds
now.
True! You too could use this information in your ranked games. It's educational content for everyone to see. Vegas, though, now we have a different dynamic. Moving over onto a Sigma, this is where Vulcan is at his best. Rack Attack, though, now there's no pocket for Dove like we saw previously on Blizzard World. Instead, playing the Brigitte, which is going to have a little bit of trouble brawling up against the Rhine.
Yeah, if you keep your distance, you can maybe whittle down the shield, because Ryan has to get a bit closer. These fire strikes are cute and all, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. But Hadi is over on Megapack side behind him, though. Lurking is Malthol, looking for maybe his first kill on the blade. That would be sick. See if he generates one this round, or he wants to swap up. Oh, that's the Ryan charging up. Thank God for wall climbing, but he is in a bad position. London are just forcing off these players. And they are so lethal close range too that Vegas want to whittle them down before they get close. As Hadi didn't have a shield and didn't have enough healing. So that's one person out of the way and the first kill for Vegas.
And this should be a point flip here for Vegas, both the first kill and the first capture would be a wonderful start for them. Unfortunately, Malthol not quick enough with the right-click dash combo to remove Backbone, and this gives a little bit more time for Hadi to respawn. You've got to be super careful with your rotations here if you are Vulcan, as you can be sped upon really quickly by the Reinhardt, and Rack Attack might have to use a whip shot.
Oh, I would have loved this Ant Matrix earlier, but yeah, he was at 99%, just got it now, and Vegas got into cover, although that Ant Matrix isn't much better because they just didn't have vision around the corner, so as soon as they popped their heads out, speaking of Vegas, to actually use Luke Camino's ultimate, London just fire strike them down. So not a wonderful choice by Vegas.
The unfortunate fact here is that Vegas Eternal's comp when they're on the defense is all about managing to allow Vulcan to kite long enough for Dove to get some considerable resources out of London Spitfire, and unfortunately none of those even came out from the Dynamite or anything else. Slam's available, remember that's hard for Sigma to block. Oh, it's Hadi time, I believe.
I do believe the shield is broken too for both sides. Chatty, not assuming the chat role yet, although he is wanted to charge past the shield, gets rocked, just a gravitic flux to float around Hadi. Now the Deadeye from Sparker's canceled, the Backbone's now on Tracer, and London, I felt like just played that way more passive, although that was very good dancing from Vulcan to get around Hadi.
Yeah, and of course a really good pre-fire on the accretion as well to shut down the charge. Remember that it started. That really opened up the need for Admiral to try and reinforce that charge with the sound barrier. And then Vulcan managing to catch Landon up in the air. Malthol getting on top of the target that was needed to strip away that sound barrier led to a kill on the main healer here for London Spitfire. Once more though, we need to see Dove's poke shut down this engagement.
I love the YOLO charges, just walking past the shield, but trying to also get some of these supports down with it. 3-man shatter for Hadi, and he's going for more. Swings onto Vulcan, but Luke Camino's Amp Matrix punishes the London Spitfire push. And meanwhile, all control was for London, but Malthol is there to flip it over. Backbone was contesting, and the key point there was contesting.
Malthol got a blade kill too. It happened. We got the blade value here on the pool. Excellent stuff, managing to get around the immortality field as well from Landon, which would have been a significant issue, especially without a nano. That takes 2 whole slices to kill. You can't slash and dash it because you won't get a reset from its destruction. Now, Hadi, do you want to try and force a fight on the point? Unlikely when Dove's got this much poking ability. And you can see that at the moment, Vegas Eternal, they're just trying to counter-rotate, and unless London can pull a fast one, Dove should have time to hit a shot here.
And Dove's Bob's going to be important just to anchor the point. London don't have any ultimates, and this is last fight for Vegas to force us into round 3. London have Pillar's control. They have access to Mega. Hadi charges back to the point. The Bob tosses him up. Hadi has to deal with that. He's very low. Probably doesn't have much of a shield left. Gives freedom to Dove to spray and pray down. And there was nobody left. Hadi is there. But anyway, Vegas forced the round 3.
Well, Vegas Eternal. They evidently listened to the 0 hit point lecture. Although, it is worth noting that London Spitfire there, I think they, I don't want to remove Vegas Eternal's achievement. There was some excellent kiting and some good, well-timed insertions from Malthol. But London Spitfire, they really should not have been playing the Reinhardt composition here. Reinhardt is super bad at Sanctum because all of his rotations are super inefficient due to that central death pit. Here's Malthol managing to find that blade kill. Big moment for him. And overall, I think with London Spitfire, they're probably going to have a much better time here on Shrine. It's much better for Reinhardt. Vegas Eternal, though. Will they continue? Yeah. Oh, it's their third comp in 3 sub-maps. Here comes for Ram.
Yeah, that's usually what Vulcan prefers when it comes to rushes. Though he did start more Rhine, but he's going for the poor man's rush. Gonna prove Hottie that this is the best way to go. Remember, Vegas need this win so desperately. They're just trying to poke around London through the sides. Hottie taking a lot of pressure down to a quarter health, and some of the immortality of Landon as the rest of London try to peel over. Vulcan might have gone too deep, and Hottie tried to charge forward just to take back that real estate. The cap goes through for Vegas, so now all this stalling and time wasting is only going to benefit them.
Malthus doing a really good job right now of essentially playing an edge guard of a Genji, just making sure that whenever Backbone appears, Malthus dashing on top of him, getting that guaranteed 50 damage to force an early translocate. Ouch, that's a bad pick.
I thought you were going to say ouch, because I would have agreed with you. It's still 4v4. Landon has the Ant Matrix. Still lots of support going towards Hottie, who's playing his life very well behind the shield. Vegas now have their own window, but London have great cover, and they're just going to respect this space and leave Vegas even more time.
I really feel like Backbone should be playing the Mei here instead. I don't know how much value the Sombra's really going to be able to extract from this composition. I think you could definitely just instead overplay the tank fight, yeah. There's just no pressure elsewhere. What bad timing.
If only London had a Tracer Sombra player. I wonder who they could substitute in. Anyway, we'll think about this next time. This is now the 3rd fight for Vegas, and they've trapped London on this right side, but easily can be broken out with the Shatter, Sounder, and all the ultimates that London have. But Vegas are fine on initiating fights. The pressure is on London's shoulders. Random pin! Wait, it missed. I thought he got somebody for sure. Either way, Hottie has to now reposition himself after going way too deep on that one. He's going to be assisted by Admiral. Now he's taking the grenade. He's dangerously low. Sparker's Deadeye to ward them away as an EMP for London to strike back. But the Annihilation makes London consider this twice. But Vulcan went too deep. You still got more kills at the end of the day, and Vegas are up to 85%.
All right, Lojmar, I think he's a bit silly, but he's getting a bit too fresh in the gaff right now. It's not ideal for London Spitfire. Finally, we have Backbone move over onto a Mei. Vegas Eternal need to win one more fight. They've got a Blade to do it and an Amplification Matrix as well. London might well have thrown this one away and given Vegas the opening they need.
Last fight, London used so many ults to not get nothing, but Backbone's on the Mei. See if they can isolate Vulcan. Amp Matrix from both sides. Careful cover being used. Vulcan in a not so healthy position. Malthus going in with 61 HP, gets healed back up. Dice is at the back. Landon dodges away. And Dove gets the last laugh. But London are down their main healer. Vegas down their Genji. 4 versus 4. Vulcan backs against the wall, slowed by the Mei. And Vegas's front line falls for the first time, and London will get a cap shortly.
Mei good, tank die. London Spitfire, they were all about that last year. For some reason, they forgot it for a long time, trying to make that Sombra work. A bit of a competitive scrim environment, perhaps. Vegas Eternal now, though. They have all the time in the world to try and build up a critical mass of ultimates. London Spitfire need to win every single fight, but they did earn themselves 4 ultimates during that previous engagement. Only Landon's Amplification Matrix was used. Rack Attack's judicious use of the sound barrier here is going to be super important. If they can simply force Admiral to use one in this next fight and then have an advantage for it in the next, that would be a great setup for a winning fight.
London want to bring the fight to the point. They got a Blizzard and Vegas's name is on it. See if the house can put a bet on this. Hottie can also pop around the corner. One more Fire Strike or 2. And he could surprise Vegas. Vegas step up. Just need to win the one fight to start off on match point, but Vulcan gets collapsed on. The Mei wall comes up behind him. And Vegas now just going one by one, just not coordinated at all. They'll have to retreat. London, they're not even done yet. They're going for more kills.
You got a speed advantage, and the enemy don't have a tank that can slow you down. Why not start to look for blood? 5 ultimates going to be available now for London Spitfire. And the question is, could you even force any out if you're Vegas Eternal? Because you don't have any real engagement power when you're going up against the Mei with the Ramatra. You basically instantly get eviscerated. You can get pinned out of your block so that it doesn't block any damage. Hottie really is able to win these fights quite easily by using the block into the ice wall. And now is getting some early scouting. Oh, no. Guys. Let's not be the
big
content
metal
slam.
feet. The big metal feet are very loud, so they know this guy is here. You'd have to be deaf not to hear it. So, I mean, Hadi just did some scouting, not going to surprise Vegas, although the shield play from Vulcan is going to be tough to pull off against the Shatter. Dove, Deadeye, zoning London back. Ton of ultimates as London, their hand will be forced. At Matrix zones London away. They re-engage though with the Soundbear. Admiral, Shatter gets Rack Attack low. And I don't know if the Soundbear even went off. London unleash everything in their arsenal, and from a 0 to 100 comeback, London have done it and take map number 1.
I return to your regularly scheduled programming as Backbone leaves for Sombra in the dust and picks up the May, allowing them to really control these engagements, and that made it so much harder to attack this as the Vegas Eternal. But we saw these little sparks of brilliance, especially on Sanctum in particular, where we really saw some excellent rotations and proactive movements from Vegas Eternal that indicate a good comm structure. In the end, though, they simply weren't able to match the brawl on 2 brawling maps where London was always going to have a topographical advantage as a noble brawl team.
Well, London just also played conservative. We say chatty because he's such a chat, he's alpha, and he gets in there and he's aggro. But he actually played very smart and measured. I think he was dying a lot on Sanctum and had to kind of reel that back a little bit because they started playing more reactively around him. You saw that they let Vegas Eternal use their ultimates first. For example, zoning away from Luke Mino's Ant Matrix, or just waiting for Malthus to go in with Blade and then kill him and act afterwards. Then London came in with 5 ult. I mean, it was a 5 ult fight. London were supposed to win that. But the way they approached it wasn't too eager and antsy. It was very measured.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much silliness lives in the veins of London today, because the first few engages here on Shrine were bona fide 100% pure grade silly. Vulcan, unfortunately, nothing you can do as an Nemesis form against the charge. You don't have any kind of counter charge. Your block can't work. You just get stunned out of it the second you get picked up. So London will eventually walk away with that one, but I think maybe it was hairy. It was fear-inducing.
Was it you?
Yeah, that is a little bit of my style of Reinhardt play with a Sombra in there.
Well, Backwood's going to have to work on that a little bit more. The May looked a lot better, and so do London, although it got close. On the other side of this break, we'll find out where Vegas Eternal want to go to next. Well, they had a lot to say. I hope I'm live right now, but I hope they had a lot to say up on Twitter. London tweeted this before the match even started. Chatty, I mean, the whole team chatting it up. They felt very confident coming into this. I think every team should as well. Vegas have a lot to work on. You heard it from the interviews. They only had a couple weeks to scrim. But hey, that got kind of close to it like that. It was round 3.
Yeah, no Europe, no win, but going to map 3 was definitely a little bit of screams and confused Brexit moment. We got ourselves a couple of subs coming in. Sparker getting a little bit of well-earned rest. Instead, Lethal is going to be moving on in, and Scarippa, all 240 pixels of him, are going to be joining us here to play the double flex support. And this is filling a role that previously Backbone, or Boneback as he was known in that particular iteration, that particular version of him, used to fill the double flex support role. Backbone was the Zen player. Now Scarippa comes in as an actual flex support player to be able to fill out London's availability for support on some of these maps where it can be a little bit more prevalent.
I spoke it into existence. I was like, man, if only they had a Tracer flex, you know. God, yeah, Lethal is here. He's been a bright star on every team he's played on. He's kind of known as like that hit scan god, mostly on Cassidy or Widow, but truly Lethal plays whatever Lethal wants. And Skyripper, we'll see if he gets Thanos snapped at the end of this. Finally getting some playtime though from the bench. It's cool to see London just trying things out, and it's Vegas trying their hand at Hollywood as their choice of map.
Hollywood makes sense. It's a lot less brawl friendly, and it's going to require a lot more coordination in terms of dive setups, but we've seen plenty of that from London, so I'm not particularly worried. I do think that Vegas Eternal can leverage this potentially, especially with their how they like to play Mercy. A pocketed Ashe here could certainly do some real damage to London before the dives can come on through. I'd imagine Backbone's probably going to play a little bit of the Sombra here in conjunction with a Lethal Tracer, but honestly, London can bring out anything. On the other, hold up. Is that a real Swedish man? And a real... Hold up, we've got both Lindholms. Interesting, the full Lindholm from Vegas Eternal. This is certainly one of the comps I've seen in my life.
They played, yeah, we actually saw it earlier today. When they played LA Valley, it was the Torb defense dub, this exact composition. Obviously, the desk isn't a fan, but we kind of all justified it as they're playing their comfort picks. And Maltho's always been that silly hero specialist. And it's, if you want to justify the Torb as, it is anti-tank, has range, and it is annoying for Tracers.
It is really annoying for Tracer, and like, it's a good read. You see Lethal come in, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Lethal's in. He's going to be playing Tracer. He's going to be probably on ping a little bit. Why don't I just mess with his life and make him not enjoy Overwatch dive so much? Backbone here, this is going to be all about claiming the high ground early. I want to see a double pocket on Backbone just to make sure that he's super healthy as he claims what most people have come to call juice up there due to the big old tubs that are on the side.
Oh. Somehow Skyrip has been in range of a Sigma, which is not usually what happens. So I think Hadi is still getting into position, which meant Vulcan felt comfortable enough to step up, and he still is comfortable just putting orbs into the backline of Skyrip and Landon. So Hadi's got to get some cooked up quick.
Yeah, the question is, will Backbone feel comfortable enough to go up on this high ground and really try and erode that space away from Vulcan, make sure that no one's coming up towards him? Rakitek is a little bit helpless in this duel, so we'll have to break LOS instead of actually taking a fight.
Yeah, Dove is most likely to swap to Ashe after this, and maybe some Malthul Genji, the high ground, important. Outside of this point, it's kind of very easily accessible on in this area. Backbone's Hanzo is a rare sight too, but hey, if he gets shots like that, I don't mind it at all. But Landon's dead, Vulcan's pounding the front line, and Vegas just barely stable, especially at least they can rely on the turret to protect them, as London have to reset again, and almost half their time bank is gone.
I think London might have just grugged out of their minds. Did they just get a single pick from Backbone and everyone abandoned the high ground to get killed by Vulcan, or did Vulcan wrap up behind them? Either way, lack of reconnaissance on Vulcan's location, they're doomed for London Spitfire. You can't allow your Sigma to get a mirror against two characters that have basically unlimited vertical mobility between wall climb and exo boots.
Right, still waiting for London to start. Oh, jeez! Vulcan died mid-grab flux. Backbone delivers that in style. How about another? Oh, Landon kill stole that one. But at least that means London are going to be capping the point. I was getting a little worried there.
Yeah, they are going to be able to grab it here. I am still concerned about the fact that Backbone is very quickly removing himself from the high ground in many of these situations. That might become more of a problem on defense that could turn 4v5 fights into somewhat lost condition exploiting ones. Hello?
This is the Ant Matrix of all time, but if it works, I guess I'm the one that's going to be taking notes, and Lethal takes care of the job for Vegas, I guess.
I hope there's a replay of that, but if I had to bet, if I was going to go to Vegas and bet on it, I think we probably stuck Rack Attack Shield and then Rack Attack Shield bashed it into Lethal, because there's no stun that could have kept the Tracer in that area. That's so annoying. Oh, the early ammo field, though. That could be a problem.
Goofy defensive setup by Vegas. They're on high ground. They shouldn't be. Remember, the point is cap, and the spawns are right there for London. At least Vulcan's back in the mech. He got Molten Core and a rally being used. London are perfectly fine with this. If things start sucking, you just go back to spawn. So this is kind of a waste by Vegas, not gonna lie.
I mean, part of this you could answer if Hardy didn't have mines by swapping over to the Rhine and just speed boosting up through the stairs and removing anyone who wants to be up on that high ground.
Okay, getting out of spawn challenge. Wasn't expecting to say that about London, and looks like Vegas are taking the initiative of sending Dove behind them. And still, Vulcan is not in the healthiest position and has to get within pack range or even range of Lucamino. Seems to be fine for now as Malthus provides a safe zone for Dove. And it fires back into London's space, who are still struggling to get this card through choke.
I mean, the goofiness to a degree does mess with such a regimented team like London. Like, you have a plan for this. You don't know what to do when there's this silly, goofy brawl fight. Lucamino's used Ant Matrix somewhere.
Well, that was a situation that occurred. Vegas at the front door. Hottie is off on his own.
Where was Scarippa?
I don't know where anybody is, dude. I can't explain any of the macro that's happening right now. This is goofy and unconventional, to say the least. Hottie was in so deep too, didn't find a mega, so you just don't have initiative. You have Lethal able to maybe push the cart, and Backbone needs help getting to the high ground, so Vegas are very defensively set up right now.
In the most affectionate way possible, I think Vegas are dragging London down to their level. They're going for some real crazy fights here. Random pulse bomb still kills Scarippa. What? Huh?
Now I gotta look at deaths. Oh yeah, it's just 4 deaths, not a big deal. Malthus at 0. See, the world is healing. All you 1 in 12 Malthus stuff, shut up. He's at 0 right now, okay? So
0 deaths, not
matters.
0 kills. It's 6 and 0. Malthus is a bit of a bandit right now. He's marauding around the backline and able to survive anyone who comes to try and take him out due to the overclock giving the additional movement speed and the armor, and just making it too difficult for Lethal to try and find a 1 versus 1. It's a more regimented retreat back over to the high ground now as Malthus gets a little bit of a scout, and Backbone's going to be able to remove the turret, which opens a bit of space for Lethal.
Some space, but not a lot of time. 46 seconds for London. Hottie can go up there and drop the mines if he want, or they could just anchor cart, but they gotta make sure that Lethal wins the duel against Dove if they want to get progress. Now the mines have to be used on the high ground, and so it is. Vulcan's gonna drop. Vegas now are contesting the cart even more, although you wish Vulcan was more at the front, but he's kind of flanking at the back, going after Skyripa and Landon. At least he's getting back up, and Dove hits the pulse on the Backbone, and they're chasing kills even more. The Molten Core to zone London off their own high ground. This is the most Vegas game I've ever seen.
Dude, Dove's having a game right now, really showing off why he was picked up for Paris Eternal previously and kept on for Vegas Eternal now. Lethal needs to hit a mega pulse bomb, but also at the same time, you've got to try and maneuver around the Suzu. Lethal will get the touch, and of course, as for designated cart troll, someone has to come down to him for that pulse bomb to be delivered. You can wait that out if you're Vegas and try and make a move for an opening pick. Malthus dropping it might have been a bit of a throw, though.
Yeah, welcome to your first match in Overwatch League. Now push the cart, buddy. He's gonna need some support. Transcendence is on its way. And London obviously incorporating new members here, so the structure is all out of whack, but Vegas thrive in that chaos. Up from behind though, Dove assassinates Skyripa. Is going after more. Backbone turns, tries to burn down Dove. Ant Matrix for London. London start to pull through, but these flankers on Vegas are just ruining everything for London. As up the Lethal and Hottie to keep the overtime wick burning, only halfway to be. And it's just not a lot of ultimates to depend on, and eventually the brawl and the healing of the Brigida will be enough, and Vegas will stop London halfway to B.
Wow-y. Dove right now, 6.8k damage. 18 limbs, 2 deaths. Lethal, 4.4k. 5 limbs and 3 deaths. So much constraint has been given over here by the Torbjorn. Also, Dove's out-damaging the Torbjorn, by the way, which is super impressive, because Tracer's not a high, like, she's high damage output in fights, but her uptime for damage is not incredibly high due to her small health pool and the quick nature of her engagements. In order to actually be doing that much damage compared to a high uptime Torbjorn who's got a huge amount of poke with no damage drop off and a turret, Dove is doing an incredible amount.
See this replay from Dove pulsing the ground, and Skyrippa said, anyone drop this? And Landon said, I thought you had eyes and I didn't need to drop this. The immortality could have came out earlier, but obviously thought Skyrippa saw that, but unfortunately backed into it. But the siege from Vegas was cool to see. I wasn't expecting the ultimates to be committed to the spawn camp, but it worked, so I'm confused now.
Another interesting note, Luke Mino is actually out-damaging Skyrippa in Kiriko versus Zen, which means that Luke Mino has been able to weave a huge amount of healing in here, considering how much Rack Attack is going to have to be responsible for the DPS, and Luke Mino would have been pretty much the solo healer for Vulcan for most of this. Viper's getting a bit of scouting in here. This is going to be super important for Hardy and Lethal to stage a good dive onto a vulnerable member like Luke Mino. No, continue breaking it down, Lemon. You break it down, Queen.
I know. I
shouldn't
was trying to learn the moves from Backbone on top of the lamp. It's invisible bag doesn't count if they don't see it. So Vegas just try to cross. You see Hottie placing the bubble. That's a 3-man anti-grenade from Skyrippa, and you're thinking about, is Hottie want to jump in on that? Anyone want to farm that? No? Okay, we're just going to let Vegas mosey on down to the left side, trying to be in a difficult diving range. It's also going to be a difficult LOS for Skyrippa if Hottie does commit that deep, and he got already low without even doing anything. So Vegas gaining even more space until Landon frags down Luke Mino, and you're not feeling so good if you're Vegas going into this fight with just a Brig.
Hold up, how'd Rack Attack get here? What's the Brig doing back here? That was some lovely movement. It might get punished, but at the moment, London Spitfire are absolutely corralled into this small room versus a Brig, which is no good at all. This fight is far from over, Lemon.
If Vegas are on the defensive high ground, they've taken care of Lethal. Now they can just focus on capping the first point. I like where Luke Mina's position is. Dove is above into the skybox. But London have a re-engage available, especially with off of Backbone's EMP. But they're going to nano Hottie first, who gets booped back, flailed, and honestly just harassed by Rack Attack. We're going to have to file a report about that. Hottie's not getting anything done besides just cleaving through, but he's getting pushed back by Vulcan. And now the kills at range happen for the Vegas Eternal, who should be able to complete and get the payload going.
We talked before about how it might be preferential to try and play a little bit more towards your comfort if you're Vegas Eternal, and this is almost 100% full comfort for Vegas Eternal right now. Like, the only possibly more comfortable thing would be Dove on the Soldier 76 as well. He do like that hero. This is essentially everybody on what they believe that they play best. London Spitfire, however, didn't want to invest ults into a losing fight, but they don't have control of the high ground either, so they might need to invest for EMP just to claim control of this and build up a defensive position.
Vulcan just brawling through the high ground. Backbone decloaks and waves at everyone as his corpse flails to the ground. Obviously, this is uncharacteristic from London because they're incorporating their, substitute players for the first time, trying out a comp for the first time. Vegas up above in a powerful position with their Brigida Rack Attack, the one pushing the cart, which summons the attention of Lethal. So Rack Attack is going to stay as safe as he can. He's got Dove looking over him. EMP for Backbone hits Lucamino, Vulcan, and Dove's Deadeye gets canceled. London take the initiative, and it pays off.
Okay, 3.5 minutes now on the clock, but honestly, this is the hard part for Vegas Eternal, because it means Scarippa and Landon can both set up on cross-firing high grounds and save each other if they both get dove on. Dove, just a quick swap, and now we'll be returning. I would have loved to have seen a one-off swap from Rakatech here to Mercy, just to try and damage boost the Blade and give a little bit more vigor over to that ultimate. However, you can try and force a fight on Cart here. Ideally, you want to get Landon to fall down, but how do you force that to happen? Likely a Rakatech boom.
Malthol, this Blade has to be big too. Last fight for Vegas to win this map and send us into a third final decider one. Malthol, though, is stuck in Saloon, and now it's up to London to surround, to divide, and to conquer. They've already done that, but Malthol has to go for Flame without his Kiriko alive. He's been hacked, and he's getting diced himself with the Transcendence Cape Blade, because London were just that confident. But Vegas have plenty of time to get this done.
I hope he's swapping. He is. Okay, that makes sense. What they did do is force out the trance, which if you're going to swap as Malthol anyway, is super important to do. And the Sombra is actually pretty great here, because you can try and set up a more stealthy means of getting Scarippa and Landon off the high ground. I think Luke Mino actually TP'd into a pulse in that last fight as well. Super unfortunate. Scarippa with the nano can give Hardy so much additional hardiness in the face of these duels.
Oh, Dove wants to avoid getting hacked, because even a second without a blink could spell death for a Tracer. Vegas just have kind of this very mobile composition. Vulcan going back to his tried and true Diva is another strength of his. That and the Sigma, as Vegas are not really taking the fight, in control of the fight. They're letting London get prepared, get set up, and honestly killed them. But Vegas, they anchor on the card. Once London dropped down without cooldowns, Vegas took advantage. Sound barrier and a self-destruct available. Hadi's buying so much time. There's only a few meters to go. Lethal has to touch. Now Hadi is next. London have spawns right around the corner, especially Skyripple with Nano, but someone has to touch! And Vegas have taken a map against the London Spitfire.
That is big, but I want to highlight the one play that made it all happen, and it was absolutely tiny. It was Vulcan with the defense matrix. We saw the setup on the high ground. Up came the divers through the elevator. It created a stress response in the Ana. Scarippa panicked a little bit, thinking, okay, we can survive this dive. I just need to hit my nade. Vulcan comes up from underneath with the micro missiles, eats the nade with a defense matrix, and then Scarippa dies, assuming that he's going to have more HP than he actually does. And that means that the nano can't be used in that fight, so no one can survive on Cart. A tiny thing from Vulcan, but was absolutely imperative to making that fight work.
It's an experienced team of London playing a comp they're inexperienced on, so there's going to be those cracks in the armor of just Backbone getting caught out, and you should be translocating and really understanding and measuring how much HP your threshold is and your reaction time to teleport out of something maybe Backbone isn't used to, doesn't have that much time on, although he's played a little Sombra last season. And then you're incorporating Lethal and how you communicate with him, and along with Skyrippa. You even saw those disconnects with the Immortality versus the Pulse Bomb that came out, and how that didn't connect and Landon had to suffer. So, but you have to keep that in mind, that also Vegas are playing heroes that they are very comfortable on. They're a core that have been together for a long time, and everything will be decided on Colosseo. Will the Vegas Eternals survive in the group stage? We'll find out after this break. my circus, not my monkeys. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not saying anything about the last map, but I think we're getting back into control of things leg day. I think we're going back to peace and normalcy. Roster changes coming in.
Yeah, we're returning to the tried and true for London Spitfire, but it makes perfect sense considering where we're going soon. Backbone's going to be returning to the roster alongside Admiral, which means that we can expect two things: ice and speed. Oh, yeah, Sparker's returning to the roster. I'm thinking about the return of the Mayor, so I do not want to... I don't remember who was in for last map. I don't remember who was playing the last map. I don't remember what last map was. I'm removing it from my head for my own sanity.
Me too. Honestly, that was just a silly... You know, as Doris said, a Mickey Mouse map. Let's go to Colosseo. Our first push map for both of these teams who have been 2-0ing or getting 2-0'd. Either way, we're going to find out if Vegas stays alive in the groups, because remember, going 0-3, very bad. And London losing to Vegas, that would also be bad for them anyway. Funny for us. We'll see how this last map will end up.
Yeah, if Vegas managed to win here, it would actually allow Saints a much easier road to exiting this group, because both London and Vegas would then be 1 and 2, and we've got Valiant who are 0 and 3, meaning that they probably can't possibly actually get into the playoffs, or rather our bracket play. Vegas Eternal, how are they going to deal with London Spitfire, presumably playing what was an absolute barn burner of a composition from all of last year? The Reinhardt with the May is actually perfect on Colosseo for a huge amount of boosts up onto high ground. The May wall is the perfect height. And London Spitfire, I mean, it could be real with the Bastion. The Bastion is part of the North American meta, and it really does strain the enemy's comms to try and figure out how you can pressure off angles when Bastion's out of his pressure cycle, which is when he's using his tank form.
And last season, London were one of the few teams that ran Rush on this map, which is very difficult because of how long the sightlines are, and Ryan is just so incredibly awkward to rotate with on the staircase part of this map. But Backbone even tried some Sombra back in the day. Like, the few times we did see Sombra was actually on this map. There's not a lot of great May isolation areas, as Hadi just went in without the team. There was a memo that was missed. The letter did not get into the mailbox, and that was not coordinated. Despite this being the starting roster for London, that was really weird.
Oh, that was actually a beautiful play by Dove to play the Symmetra. While it might not be ideal in so many of these brawls, what it does give you is a faster rollout. You can't usually do it on Colosseo because you don't get a good LOS for TP, and you have to walk so far back towards the Symmetra. Hardy did not expect that, and so he just rolled out alone, got walled off, 1v5'd, and Bob Sharunkle. London Spitfire now out of control, and Dove can try and control where the fight happens using both the TP and the that's bad.
Well, headshots, they hurt. Fun fact today. London at least able to fight back, and spawning right on top of Sparker is the force of 1,000 suns, but it looks like he's able to just jump away, I guess. So Vegas got some initial mileage, but London are done goofing around, I think.
Sparker really just came in, pat Lethal on the head, step back, son. Let the big boys handle this. Beautiful headshots to open up those angles, and honestly, there's going to be a lot of trouble here trying to deal with Sparky. He can access these high grounds super easily using the wall climb. Vegas Eternal don't really have anyone who can fight the off angle unless they do it as a team, or they send Rack Attack, and Rack Attack's going to be necessary to try and give Vulcan ease of access to Hardy. You need your Lucio to support you if you're a Reinhardt in the Reinhardt. Versus Reinhardt, rather.
Sparker gets vision on Lucamino, who knows maybe an Amp Matrix could be in the cards, so London are playing safe on pillars and may want to wait until Vegas engage into them, trades back and forth. Amp Matrix in the middle of the fight will force Vulcan to take cover on the other side, so not getting a ton of value here, but Vulcan is still kind of lurking around, so he's going to get beaten down by Hadi. Should still go his way, and London can see even more progression.
Yeah, Chief 5 of London as well, just matching the amplification matrix. Unfortunately, when it came to opening picks, Sparker simply wasn't as important when the fight actually started happening. Sparker's early pressure is much more than worrying. And now the Dragon Strike actually could be great for zoning off Vegas. If they wait too long to take an engagement, could guarantee the cap by forcing them off this bridge.
Hey, Vulcan, are you able to Rhine diff the Chatty himself? It's the tale of two shatters. Dragon Strike forces out the ice block shatter from Vulcan and Hadi, but Vulcan's the only one on his knees until Rack Attack brings him back up. Sound Barrier helps a lot. Vegas chasing after Hadi, who doesn't have a shield, who barely has any health. as you're waiting for Sparker to have a clapback of a lifetime, and it didn't come fast enough. Hottie's finished off 4 versus 4, but again, without that Reinhardt, the dominoes just fall right behind. So at least Vegas stealing the car, and then there's still people from London that have to rotate back.
Well leveraged sound barrier. The players from London know that they can get out here using the speed boost because Vegas Eternal are unlikely to over-aggress into that, knowing that they're going up against the Hanzo. And now Huddy has returned. It's 5 versus 5, and no additional progress was gained for Vegas.
Oh, Vulcan in trouble. Don't love that Maywall from Mouthful. I think it was, oh, it was actually just a slow down London. Never mind, I take it back. Amp Matrix, bring down the shield of Hottie. Will disengage, especially without backbone. The May is such a good enabler of the Reinhardt, so 5 versus 4, and Vegas just looking for any more kills, but Hottie is not in a place he wants to be right now. He's so far away from how to get on the high ground. Surely they run after Hottie, but he's actually getting escorted out by Admiral, so Vulcan is ready to cut off the cross. He charges in right into the Blizzard of the other team, while I guess his Blizzard is getting some backup, so Vegas being proactive there, very good.
How did Mouthful land that? Was that a big old yeet on the Blizzard? The lead goes over to Vegas Eternal now. And London Spitfire, they were trying so long to be able to save Hardy from a Blizzard with the sound barrier, but it simply wasn't there due to I think a wall from Mouthful.
Oh, the Deadeye. I thought you could time it for Backbone getting out of Ice Block. Sound barrier, and the counter engage from London's even stronger. Rack Attack wasn't ready for the speed out. Vegas thought they had the upper hand. I mean, technically they do, because they're at 66 meters, and London got some catching up to do.
Yeah, forward spawn's going to come through as well, so they will be able to intercept this in the corridor, which allows them to try and play this a little bit slow, wait for London to make a mistake. And Vulcan also going to have an advantage on the Earth Shadow, which is super important, because it means that Huddy has to play a lot more defensively. Never mind!
Yeah, headshots, they do suck. London have to be careful of this off angle, or Vegas have to be careful of this off angle by Sparker. Rack Attack can't afford to die either.
Whoa.
Shatter from Vulcan. Sparker and Hottie down. Immortality from Landon. There's the clap back from Hottie. Didn't get anything. Good block by Vulcan. Luke Camino's Amp Matrix will make London think twice about this engage. But Vegas already backing away, and Sparker's looking for the finishing blows. And I mean, London are in a great position. Any stagger kills here would be big. And London, one more fight to take the lead.
The overall damage of Dove needs to be leveraged more. Spark's actually drawing equal on damage of Dove right now, which is not good in Miss Cassidy versus Hanzo Mirror. Huge damage coming out now from the Hanzo. Basically every shot hits like a headshot.
And London throw the Blizzard down just to get that checkpoint and to get the lead. Still 4 minutes left. Sparker double kill. And he's got Vegas Eternal trapped. And this was after a Rack Attack barrier that you thought would have been enough to bolster Vegas to a win. And with that, London will get the checkpoint and the lead shortly.
Dove swaps over now onto the Hanzo. However, the areas from which Hanzo can operate a little bit more limited in this picture area. Likely going to see him up on the top right in that bedroom, firing down from what is essentially a parapet upon the London Spitfire. There's plenty of cover available if they modulate their positioning well.
Well, this Dragon Strike, be big to separate out. You want to use it to isolate, to divide, to conquer. The Blizzard's thrown first from this defense of Vegas, and they might have zoned out. Oh, they got Backbone. The Immortality, though, only bought him so many seconds. And that's a fight confirmed for Vegas. They'll get the cart back, but again, down 20 meters. They got the time to make it work, though.
I'm starting to wonder what the response stimulus is that Admiral's looking for this sound barrier. Usually in this matchup, it is the Blizzard, but perhaps in this case they're looking to try and counter out Vulcan's Earth Shatters instead. Hardy and Vulcan both about ready when it comes to putting these down. Thus far, Vulcan's been playing very well in those duels.
Matrix. Yeah, Luke Camino puts that down. Maywall from Backbone to buy them time to disengage, and then you throw the Dragon Strike from Sparker, just putting more pain in. Vulcan tried to go for a heroic shatter, gets nothing. And Vegas need to ride momentum, and they keep getting stopped. London are back in control.
Oh no, Dove getting staggered here as well. That's guaranteed essentially to be a couple more meters for London Spitfire here. Backbone's doing such a good job of just stressing out Vegas Eternal with these early walls, putting them in the right position, also majorly out-damaging Mouthful. And now Sparko can just freely farm on this angle.
Amp Matrix to see if he can burn down the shield of Vulcan. before he gets too comfortable, Vulcan says, okay, isolate me, I dare you. Will just kind of be there to contest the card. Hadi playing his sightlines carefully. He has the shatter. Vulcan on the other side. He could just walk past it. Goes for the ego challenge onto Vulcan. Now walls are coming up. Vulcan's trying to leave, and he's actually frozen up by Backbone's Blizzard and couldn't pin out in time. So now as Hadi has a free shatter, and Vegas know it. They're trying to contest it with everything they can. They'll reset as a team, but we're reaching 100 meters plus for London and a potential full capture on their first push mat in sight.
Sparkcraft's 14 final blows right now. Unbelievable. The next highest in the lobby is Hadi with 6. This is Sparker's map. We are simply renting it right now, and the rent is extortionate. It's too damn high, Lemon. Rakitek might even need to use the sound barrier here just to try and facilitate a re-engage through a Dragon Strike.
Vegas has some ultimates coming up. Sound Bear, Amp Matrix, they gotta play this smart. London on an off angle. Hadi looking for, at least he gets, he pins down the other Reinhardt, but how do you look for the shatter? You get it down, gets nobody though. Rakitek's Sound Bearer 2 gives Vegas control of the top of the bridge. London are split from each other and ain't got the heals to support this brawl, so 121 meters is all London will get for now, and 45 seconds for Vegas to match that is tough, very tough.
Yeah, that is a lot to ask for. We're probably looking at 3, maybe 4 fights, 1 in a row in order to try and match this distance. And while London Spitfire don't have too many offensive ultimates to try and stop this in its tracks, if they see an opening, they can rush it down with the sound barrier. If anyone's caught out of position, Hadi can instantly execute them.
Blizzard Throne and Ant Matrix from Vegas, pulling out all the stops but needing to go all the way. Great shots from Dove. Double kill will get Vegas out of this neutral point. What do they have left? A Shatter and a Dragon Strike versus the Barrier Ant Matrix of London. This is going to be a big fight coming up, and Rakitek has to anchor the bot.
Yeah, Rakitek gonna have to stay with Timmy for the rest of time. Immemorial. Vulcan, a slam. Can he shake off a reputation as an off-tank to get a big slam against Charlie himself? For now, disengaging, playing towards Timmy. The Dragon Strike was a big bait, but now that's one less thing London have to worry about.
London are above 2. Actually, the Ant Matrix on the right side, so it's just zoning Vegas off. But he can hide this pretty easily, but Sparker takes the other angle, and now Vegas are just getting pincered. And they have to maintain control of the bot at all times. The Blizzard is thrown for Backbone! Vulcan tries to shatter to stop the push from London, but London just have too many ults at the end of the day. They will sweep things up with the roster they know best. London and Map 3 will take the series, but I gotta say, I had a fun time watching it.
Yeah, that was much closer than I anticipated. Everyone, Colosseo meeting the comp mano a mano. I think if Dove had started off on the Hunter, it could have been very different as well. We saw Spark absolutely dominating on the off angles because no one can really deal with the Hanzo at that range. Because if you're moving your Cassidy over to try and deal with that, you are losing out heavily in the Reinhardt trade against a Mei Reinhardt combo like Hadi and Backbone, who are so well synergized with each other compared to Vulcan and Malthor.
Just the way that London were forcing these positions in the final fight of Ant Matrix on one side, Hanzo on the other, Vegas quite literally cornered. And then when you thought you were safe, there's a Blizzard on top of you and a team with Soundbeer speeding into you, ready to toss you off the map. So Vegas had already needed to use 2 ultimates just to win the neutral fight in the middle of the map, and didn't have much gas left in the tank after that, but it was fun. It was fun to see London try out some new looks with some new players. Obviously a lot of things to work on if they want to solidify the Winston double flanker. And with that, the Vegas Eternal are officially eliminated from the group stage of the Pro-Am, and London survive for now in the group. But we have one player who did exceptionally well today, the one who is bright and shiny. Sparker from the London Spitfire is your player of the match.
So much damage done on the Hanzo and an absolute terror on the Cassidy. Always able to follow up where it was most needed, hit the dinks, and get rid of those pesky flankers who were threatening that soft underbelly of Admiral and Landon. Sparker had a real breakout year last year. Of course, he was for a long time stuck in age jail in 2021, I believe, with the London Spitfire, where he couldn't play until like the end of the season. And while he did show some prowess, that was a tragic season for London, let's not lie. It was a season that left a lot to be desired, and a renaissance in 2022 had Sparker and Hadi at its head. Here's a quick look at the overall stats as Hanzo per 10 minutes. 14.8 final blows per 10. That's pretty spicy.
27 limbs too. Like, Sparker is involved, and he wants to be. And it's cool to see him on all these different hit scan looks, and that's so cool. Who made him do that? There's a weapon like behind Sparker somewhere forcing him to do this. It's just green screened out. London have always good content in store. And if you're a fan of the London Spitfire, they have another match today at the very end. They'll be facing the Saints to see if they can maintain the good record that they have, or will more contenders teams come to surprises. But before that treat, we have Timeless versus Shock coming up next. But we're going to throw it to the desk after the break to get an interview, to get analysis, and we'll see you there.
Welcome back, one and all. This is Game Break. Zoe here, joined by Kasta and Danny. And before we get into the nitty-gritty and all the details of that, quite frankly, a little bit more scrappy brawl game we saw there. I do want to once more talk about the Calling All Heroes program. We've announced some details for the 2023 season. We talked about the Challenger series as well as the Speaker series. And I want to encourage all of you to head on over to callingallheroes.gg for more information, on how to sign up for the tournament from March 24th to April 18th. And of course, there you will also find out how to join the Discord community. It's a wonderful program, and I hope to see a lot of you there with us. Now, let's discuss what we just saw. And boy, was that scrappy! I didn't expect London Spitfire to play into that chaotic energy we were seeing from Vegas thus far, which unfortunately are now officially out of the Pro-Am tournament. What are you guys' impression from this match?
Yeah, it definitely felt like Paris was pulling London Spitfire and be like, come down to our level. Especially on Hollywood, we got to get our first look at Lethal and Sky Ripper. And unfortunately, the coordination just didn't seem to be there. I agree with Jen and Harrick, Lemon Kiwi and Leg Day, when they were talking about this Backbone Sombra. It had its moments, but it definitely wasn't as coordinated as you see the London Spitfire when they're able to just play their regular brawl with Backbone on that May. But I don't want to take everything away from the Vegas Eternal, sorry. They are a great team who have started to find their legs. You can see when they play that Sigma, they feel a lot more comfortable. Mouthful on this Torb was actually going crazy as well, so I like the Torb look for them. And you have to give a special shout out to Dub, who tried his darndest to try and pull this Vegas team to the dub.
Yeah, his back must be hurting.
Yeah.
He tried. He was so good. Dove on that Hanzo last map was crazy. I feel like, you know, that unconventional sort of playstyle that they had, or the comp that we're using, I think that really got to the London Spitfire. I think it was like, I felt like what I was seeing was London was sort of confused, or like, how do we play into this? And, you know, like, what do we do about that Torb or that Genji? It's just, you know, it was really fun to watch. And unfortunately, they are out now for the Pro-Am, but I mean, for the regular season, they will be back. So excited for them.
All right,
exactly.
No, I want to jump in, Soy. All right, the Torb was a problem. The Genji wasn't a problem, okay? Vegas, please. Mouthful, please. I'm begging you. Just hang the Genji up, please. It's not doing anything good for you.
Yeah, Casa was not a fan of that, but you know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it clearly didn't work. But anyway, let's talk about this match from a more insight perspective. We do have, of course, one of our London players joining us for a winner interview. Sparker is with us. Congratulations on the big W, and thank you so much for taking the time for a quick chat.
Sparker!
Thank you, Zoe. Hi, Danny.
Of course.
It's glad to be back.
It's so great to see you again. It feels like it's been forever, so it's wonderful to have you back with us. So let's dig into this. I announced this match, or rather the match recap, as it was a bit of a scrappy series. What do you think? Why do you think that happened? It felt like Vegas were a bit of the Chengdu in the Pro-Am tournament, and they dragged you into their zone with them.
Yeah, I mean, they were playing a bit of weird comps, like on Hollywood. I don't think we were expecting all those heroes to be played. And then on Colo, just like Symmetra rushing us, we got caught by surprise.
All right. Costa, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, sorry. No, I can jump in a little bit here. I actually wanted to talk to you guys about London as a whole going into this season because, you know, in the past, you've kind of were the underdogs last year and you were able to use that to fuel you guys. I feel like this year, there's a lot more expectations on you to perform as a team. How has that changed your mindset heading into this season?
I think there's a lot more, I don't know, more pressure on us this season. People don't expect us to be the worst team in the league like last year, now that we ended 5th and 6th in the playoffs. So yeah, I think people just expect us to beat most of the bottom tier teams.
Right, I mean, today's, it's London Spitfire. You guys actually have another match, our last match of the day. You guys are going up against the Saints. How do you think that match is going to go? Do you think it's going to be an easy win for the London Spitfire?
It might be kind of even to this one, or just a 2-0. Depends on how it goes.
All right, it's 2-0, but can you make a promise that it's going to look a little less scrappy than what we just witnessed?
Yeah, I'll try. I can carry like
He'll
last
try.
map.
And you know what? That's good enough for me. I'll
all we can
take
ask
the
for.
try. Exactly. That's all we can ask for. I mean, you had a fantastic run. Loved everything we saw from you on that Hanzo and Colosseo. You were tearing through the enemy lines, and I hope to see a lot more of that. Sparker, thank you so much for taking the time. We hope you get some rest until your next game, and we wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Sparker from the London Spitfire. They are staying alive with that victory. They will go up against another contenders team a little later today. But first, we have another team, or rather two teams, fighting for their lives.
Oh,
Tyrus
yeah.
and Shock. Oh boy, did I not expect to say that.
Yeah.
San Francisco Shock, they had a rough start, according to Crossy. That is normal, don't panic. But Proper and friends really have to step it up. However, one of the critical points heading into this day from you, Costa, was that you didn't really want to see Max in that lineup again, but we just saw him on the starting lineup. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. You know, Danny and I were talking. It makes sense if they want to play that Ramatra style, but it's when we move over to other things. Danny, what do you think? Do you think Max should be their primary starter in these kind of situations?
I mean, in cases where they need Max in, like for a certain composition, yes. But like you were saying in a pre-show, you know, if Max is on a hero that he usually doesn't play, then that really doesn't make sense. So I think that's the thing that we really don't want to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see here, this is the timeless roster. They had a good first match against the Vancouver Titans, but struggled heavily yesterday against the Florida Mayhem, I believe it was. They look good playing this Ramatra Brawl style. Wub was a standout player. The Wub heads are rising, especially on that Hanzo. So I'm excited to see how they're going to do against, you know, a very weakened San Francisco Shock, right? I think so many of these players who are contenders, they've watched the San Francisco Shock. They've watched how great these players are. Now you get an opportunity to play against them and also go toe-to-toe in a situation where you can potentially get a win. It's going to be exciting. I want to see what they pull out.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this. Now, of course, I do feel if we're looking at the predictions, it would still be madness to not pick the San Francisco Shock. Despite their initial, I'm sorry, but despite their initial performances, I'd still make a face if one of you picks anything but the Shock. I stuck with the Shock.
Oh, I really thought you were going to go for Timeless. That whole setup had you going for Timeless.
No. That said, how funny would it be if the Shock was...
True. What's up with all
Danny,
these boring picks? Everyone doing these boring picks. I went with the Shock.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Wow, really throwing yourself out there,
really
Danny.
just want to see them, you know, because they have a stacked roster. Like, I just want to see them do a little bit better. Of course, yes, they're playing on ping. They have that disadvantage, but with this roster, they should be doing a lot better.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part, but I think we all believe in the San Francisco Shock. I still believe in the San Francisco